Hello, welcome once again to Lehto's Law. A couple days ago I did a video where I mentioned about a guy who's in prison and legally dead, who'd gotten married to a woman who's on the outside of the prison, and now he wants to divorce her so he can marry another woman who wants to marry him, even though he is in prison for life, no chance of parole, and he's been declared legally dead by the state he's in. And so I mentioned that if there's a guy in prison who's legally dead, who's got women lining up to marry him, there's got to be somebody out there for everyone. There's got to be. And it's one of those things where, when somebody mentions something to you and you start noticing it everywhere, it becomes ubiquitous. Since I started joking about that, I've now seen two more stories cross my desk where people in jail or prison are getting married. And again, I don't get it, but I heard the stories. Charles Manson gets love letters. Ted Bundy got tons of them. So it's a phenomenon, but it still seems crazy to me. So I don't know. But the multimillionaire CrossFit co-founder Lauren Janai, who's 47 years old, says she plans to marry her childhood crush, who's currently in jail. Now he's not in prison; he's in jail, but he's being held on murder charges. And she says that if they get married, that she won't make him sign a prenup, even though she's got tons of money. Lauren Janai is 47, looking forward to a jail wedding with Franklin Tyrone Tucker, a childhood friend from Philadelphia who she reconnected with on Facebook, following her divorce from CrossFit co-founder Greg Glassman in 2013. Tucker's been in prison since 2017 after he was arrested for allegedly stabbing a man to death during a robbery. Lauren Janai is the multi-millionaire co-founder of CrossFit. She revealed she's planning to marry Franklin Tucker, the childhood friend, and he was arrested and charged with first-degree murder alongside Rory Hank Wilson and John Travis Johnson in the death of Matthew Bonnet. Bonnet is 59 years old. He was killed in November of 2017 after he heard a commotion while his neighbor was being robbed at knife point. Prosecutors claim that Tucker and Wilson stabbed Bonnet multiple times as they were leaving the scene. Police believe Johnson was the getaway driver. All three men were also charged with armed robbery. Tucker also faces a witness tampering charge after he allegedly threatened a witness 5 days after the murder. This is according to the Miami Herald. Janai has risen to Tucker's defense since his arrest, hiring a private investigator and a New York lawyer to help his case. As if a New York lawyer is like somehow better than a Florida lawyer. I don't know. The multimillionaire also told the judge she was willing to post Tucker's $1 million bail. She's a mother of four. She currently lives in Portland, and she said she believes Tucker is innocent and was simply an easy target for the police. While the pair had begun chatting on Facebook years before the arrest, it was the murder case that turned their connection into a romantic one. Murder will do that. You're having a long distance relationship, and one of you gets charged with murder, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, angels sing, the heavens part. The pair began video visitation as Tucker's prison does not allow in-person inmate visits, and the sparks quickly flew. She told page 6 of the New York Post, "We hadn't seen each other in 30 years. We turned into little high school kids together. We started having feelings for each other through the process and developed a really special relationship. Now the plan is when he bonds out, he's going to live with me in Portland. Of course, that's assuming the judge will let him leave the state. You might want to talk to the judge about that, honey. We're going to get married. We're engaged." Plans have changed since Tucker's bail was denied during a January 29th hearing, a decision that Janai said left her devastated. Probably didn't make him feel good either. But the fitness guru is now planning to wed Tucker in jail. It'll be the first time they get to be together in the same room since their romance began. "Even though this is a relationship that's not physical, he and I have known each other for such a long time," she said. "It doesn't seem strange to me. We have feelings for each other. It's been a year of constant communication." And Janai said she won't have Tucker sign a prenup because it feels a little inappropriate. "Our relationship is very open and we are a team," she said. "I trust him. I love him. My house is his house." And of course, that house is a big one, referring to hers, not the one that he's caged in right now. Janai sold her CrossFit shares for $20 million during her messy divorce with Glassman, which stretched from 2009 to 13 before it was finalized. And now the founder of a new fitness program, Manifest, Janai is intent on being reunited with her high school crush. Now, here's the problem. If you got this far and didn't think there were any problems yet, of course there's a problem. The separation has no doubt become even tougher for the couple after they were banned from video visitation. So the jail says, look, no in-person visitation, but you can video visit. Well, they broke the rules. Janai admits, I got a little risque, but she said she's standing by Tucker's side and has the support of most people in her life. She says, people who know him, like my mom, she knows the whole situation and she's very supportive. People who don't know him, who don't see my relationship with him, I can tell they think it's a bad idea and they think I'm crazy, especially my ex-husband. Honey, your ex-husband thought you were crazy a long time ago. I just know that for a fact. I just know this whole situation is wrong, she added, but I have a story to tell. So that's the first of the stories, and I told you two crossed my desk, so of course that's just the first one. But now a jail nurse is charged with poisoning her husband in Kansas City. And what makes this more interesting than a typical jail nurse poisoning her husband is the allegation is that she poisoned her husband so that she could marry a man who is in prison. A Missouri jail nurse who allegedly wanted to marry a man convicted of killing a lottery winner has been charged with poisoning her husband and setting their home on fire, according to court records. And yes, I'll be the first to admit this did not happen in Florida. Amy Murray, who's 40, is facing charges including first-degree murder and arson in the December 11th death of her husband, Joshua Murray. Investigators said he was found dead in the master bedroom of the couple's burned-out home in Iberia, and that his wife later told the prison inmate in a recorded phone call that they could get married because her husband was out of the picture. Now, here's the deal. I don't work in the jails. I don't work in the prison. And I've, only seen prisons and jails on TV and documentaries and so on. I've been in courthouses, but I've never actually been in a jail. I never have been. But even I know that when you pick up the phone on the side, one side of the plexiglass, and you're talking on the phone, and the other person on the other side picks up the phone and they're talking to you, you should be on notice of all the signs that are around you that say phone calls are being monitored. They're being monitored. They're being recorded. And yet people will actually say the dumbest things over the phone to the person they're talking to on the other side of the plexiglass, who's in prison. So an autopsy determined her husband was poisoned by a chemical in antifreeze and likely died before the blaze started. So the allegation is that she poisoned him and then lit the house on fire in some kind of bizarre attempt to make it look like he might have burned to death, despite the fact that they found him with poison in his system and the house didn't burn down. Amy Murray remains jailed Monday on a $750,000 bond. Her attorney didn't immediately return phone messages seeking comment from the Associated Press. Murray reported finding the home ablaze when she returned from taking the couple's 11-year-old son and two dogs to McDonald's. That's what a Miller County Sheriff's detective wrote in a probable cause statement released last week. She told investigators she couldn't get inside the home because the house was filled with smoke. But investigators said they found a McDonald's sandwich on the kitchen counter at the house in Iberia, which is about 140 miles southeast of Kansas City. Murray worked part-time as a nurse at the Jefferson City Correctional Facility, where she had a romantic relationship with inmate Eugene Claypool that had been ongoing for some time, according to authorities and charging documents. Claypool is not charged in this case, but he's sentenced to life in prison for fatally stabbing an elderly man back in 2000. And in recorded phone calls at the facility, Murray told Claypool she wanted to divorce her husband, and then following the fire, she allegedly told Claypool they could get married because her husband was dead and out of the picture, according to court documents. Now, I will admit to you that that simple statement in and of itself might not be incriminating, okay? So maybe she didn't say anything terribly stupid over the phone, but, she's trying to marry a guy who's in prison for life, so I'm not sure that she's exactly the smartest person in this story. She and Claypool also discussed getting an attorney so Claypool could be released from prison early. Murray worked at the prison through Horizon Health, a private company that provides health care at the state's prisons. A spokesperson there said Monday that Murray had been fired from the company, though she couldn't provide the time frame that Murray worked for them in the first place. Claypool and another man pleaded guilty. So it's not like we have a guy in prison who is maintaining his innocence and she's going to go in there and fight the good fight and get this innocent man out of jail. Claypool and another man pleaded guilty to killing a 72-year-old man named Donald Hardwick, who was attacked in his home on Christmas Day in 2000. Hardwick, who couldn't walk without using a walker, had won a $1.7 million Missouri lottery jackpot in 1998. Investigators said Claypool and his co-defendant targeted Hardwick, believing that he had cash stashed in his Springfield home. Investigators said Claypool repeatedly stabbed Hardwick, whose wife later found him dead with a Bible on his chest. So we have the story out of Kansas City, where the Missouri jail nurse allegedly killed her husband so that she could be with the man who's in prison. And by be with, I mean marry, but not actually physically be with, because, I don't think I need to explain that to you, do I? And then, of course, we have the multi-millionaire CrossFit co-founder who wants to be also with her man who's in jail. And again, he hasn't been tried yet. So it's possible that he could get out and those two could get married and live happily ever after. But like I said, it's looking more and more to me like if you really want to find a woman and you're having trouble, I can't even say it, but it just seems to me that lately I've been hearing more and more that if you're in prison, nothing makes the women want you more than if you're in prison, especially for life. So questions and comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.